Good morning. Welcome to our next edition of Ask Me Anything. My name is Amber and I am the National Education Manager for Schwarzkopf Profession, based here in Los Angeles, where it is sunny and warm, unlike where a lot of you are. I heard there's some bad weather happening, but I'd love to see where you're all coming in from. So go ahead and type into the chat box. Let me know where you're joining from, and hopefully you're staying warm wherever you are. But today we want you to go ahead and type in your questions that you have about anything in the Schwarzkopf portfolio. So if you have questions about lightener, questions about color, and just know that I'll be answering these questions live. I see we have somebody here from Orlando and Texas. Hopefully you guys are a little bit warmer. I know Texas had some cold weather. We've got people here from England and Minnesota and Washington. Love it. We've got some people from Chicago, the Philippines. We've got people from different countries. Colombia. I love this. So awesome. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to check and see if there are some different questions that we can have here. So let's take a look here. I've got a question here. This is actually a really great question. This question is, are you rebranding TBH collection? I love the line, but I can't buy it in the store or online. And unfortunately, TBH has been discontinued. It is not something that we are rebranding or relaunching. It is something we have discontinued. What we found is there wasn't a lot of people using it. Now, what I will tell you is our biggest recommendation as a replacement for TBH is our Igora Zero. Now, TBH, for those of you that don't know, used a combination of ammonia and also MEA. So it was less ammonia than a permanent color, but it wasn't completely ammonia free. So the benefit of Igora Zero is that this is completely ammonia free. So while you can't get TBH, we do have our Igora Zero, and we have a really great shade selection. And a lot of these shades are a little bit softer, just like the softness of some of the other TBH shades. The benefit to Igora Zero is that it can be used with our Igora Real developers. So if you're already using Igora Real, no need to get other developers. So our biggest recommendation for you, if you loved TBH, try our Igora Zero. So amazing. Let's move on to our next question. And remember, if I don't answer your question, you can always go to skpedu.com and book a one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert. So next question we have, and this is an excellent question. So this question has to do with Vibrance, which is Schwarzkopf Professional's Demi permanent color. So with Vibrance, we have multiple activators is what we call them, which is essentially a developer. So this question is, when do you use 13 volume, 6 volume in Vibrance? So first, let's talk about the different developers. So in Vibrance, we have a 6 volume gel. We also have a 6 volume lotion that'll come in a package like this. And this one is our 13 volume lotion. So when would you use 6 versus 13? So in general, I like to use a 6 volume gel when I'm toning highlights at the shampoo bowl or refreshing mid-lengths and ends, and I want the sheer gloss. Like I'm just trying to refresh and give a sheer gloss. It's a gel consistency, so easy to do application for. So love using the gel for bottle application. Now my 6 volume lotion, I prefer to use this when I'm doing shadow rooting on my blondes or low lighting for blondes for added precision, but it's still that 6 volume. So it's going to keep me from getting lift, and it's just going to deposit my color. Now, when do you use 13 volume? So my 13 is when I want to achieve maximum coverage. So this is great when I'm trying to get up to 70% gray blending. Or if you want vibrancy in your reds, we recommend utilizing the 13 volume to give you that extra vibrancy in your reds. Also, if you want to change the tone, so if I've got red hair and I want to go to brunette, this is going to give you the most opacity in a demi-permanent, so I use 13 volume. So 6 volume gel for toning, for bottle application, refreshing mid-lengths and ends. The 6 volume lotion I like to use when I'm low lighting and for shadow rooting, and then my 13 volume is going to be for that most opaque coverage for gray blending, maximum vibrancy in my reds, and changing the tone. So hopefully that answered your question. If not, don't forget skpedu.com, and you can book your one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert. So next question, can I mix absolutes with Igora Real? I'm assuming you mean absolutes. It says absolutely, and so absolutely, our absolutes will give you 100% gray coverage on their own. What I will tell you, these shades are pre-blended shades. That is not the absolutes. The absolutes are pre-blended shades that give you 100% gray coverage on their own. Some benefits to the absolutes is that they actually have 30% more pigment weight than the regular Igora Real, so you're going to get better gray coverage. And on top of that, they have a pro-age complex, which is a combination of silyamines that are going to smooth that hair cuticle to make the hair shinier and softer. And it also has collagen to fill in the brittle sites to make the hair stronger. So that being said, absolutes come in this box. Am I able to mix this taupe colored box with a regular Igora Real box? Our recommendation is no. And the reason for that is that the technology is different in both. The technology here has that extra pigment weight. If I mix it with Igora Real, then I'm not going to have as much pigment weight and I'm not going to get that better gray coverage. Also, this has that collagen and silyamines that's going to help to smooth that hair cuticle and make the hair feel better, whereas Igora Real does not. So you're going to dumb that down as well. Also, these shades in Igora or in the absolutes are already pre-blended for you. So there's no need to mix them in another box in with Igora Real because this already has everything it needs. Now, I'm a hairstylist and I've worked behind the chair for years. So I know that you're all going to go out there and be like, I know she said no, but I'm going to try it and see what happens. So I'm going to try it and I'll let you know what happens. Well, I will tell you, I've tried it and it's not that it doesn't work. It does work. Just remember, if you are going to do it, think about the reason why you're choosing the absolutes. The absolutes have extra gray coverage. So for me, the only shade in Real that I've ever mixed in with the absolutes is a -00. The -00 has extra pigment weight. Again, it's not manufacturer recommended to mix these two together, but I have done it with the -00. It's been fine, but we still recommend utilizing it all on its own because that's what it's made for. So love that question because we get that one a lot out in the field, and hopefully that helped answer that one for you. So next question, if I have a permanent color as a toner, what's the best way you'd go about it? That's also an excellent question because think about it. We have toners in Igora Real, which is permanent, in Igora Vibrance, which is demi-permanent, and we have it in our BlondMe range, and that's also a demi-permanent. So when we talk about why would I choose a permanent toner for toning and how would I go about it? So in Igora Real, we only have 4 toners in the permanent range. These 4 toners here are meant to be used with your 10 volume Igora Real developer. Give you any gray coverage. That 9.5 does not mean level 9.5. It truly means that it's a toner. So why would I choose to use a permanent toner? Reason number 1. I want to tone highlights, but at the same time give slight lift to the rest of the hair. So maybe I want to do a base bump and also tone highlights. I love using 9.5-1 by itself with 10 volume for that same reason. So what happens with that 10 volume is I'm going to get up to 1 level of lift, shifting that natural base just a little bit, but also toning those highlights, making that difference between the base and the highlights less. So that's one reason why I would choose to use a permanent toner. I'm toning highlights and shifting the base at the same time. Another reason, maybe I lifted my client and while the lightener was on, it looked amazing. But the second I rinsed it at the shampoo bowl, that blue lightener came off of the hair and all of a sudden it's really yellow. And maybe it wasn't as light as I thought that maybe it should be. That's when I might reach for my permanent toner. Reason being, there's that potential for that slight extra shift. It's also going to be that alkaline base and it's ammonia based, so it's going to open that hair cuticle and it's going to drive that dye molecule deeper into the hair strand, giving you more control over the brassiness that you have. So the 2 times I like to use a permanent toner are when I want to bump the base, shift the base, and tone the highlights at the same time. And also if I really just kind of want to maybe shift that lightener up a slight bit more or get rid of the extra brassiness that I'm seeing. So that's when I would use it, and it's always with 10 volume. Your processing time then is 5 to 20 minutes, keeping visual control. It can go on damp hair or it can go on dry hair. So hopefully that answers question. If you have more specifics for that, don't forget, go to skpedu.com. Also, quick reminder to go to our e-academy. We have a new vanity link. It's skpeducation.com. So when you at our e-academy, make sure you log in and register as a user, and you can find all the virtual classes that we have, all of our online classes, and there's also little bits of information that you can learn on there as well. So highly and check that out also. So next question, when coloring 100% white, how long do you leave it to process? So when you want to get 100% white coverage, you're first of all going to use a permanent color, which means you'll use Igora Real or you can use Igora Zero. These two will give you 100% gray coverage on their own. You will want to let it process for 30 to 45 minutes. I always say 30 minutes for a fine hair texture is plenty. If you know that hair is coarse and resistant, you want to leave it on for the full 45 minutes. So 30 to 45 minute processing time for 100% gray coverage. Next question, what color tubes can I use to create a rich ash color? So, amazing question. There's so many ash tones out there. So rich ash color to me sounds like, I don't know, like a sandre mixed with a chocolate. That chocolate gives me some of that richness. What I love is that we have some sandre chocolate, which is the -16 in both Igora Real and also in Vibrance. So one of my go-to shades that's going to give me an ashiness, but also that little bit of a chocolate, I call it almost that kind of mushroom brown, the -16. So 5-16 and 6-16. It's that sandre first, so it's got that blue violet, that nice smokiness to it. But then you've got a nice chocolate shade in here. That chocolate gives you that richness. So when I hear ash, rich ash color, I think of something that has something to ground it, like the chocolate, but then has that ash tone. So I would say the -16 is an excellent choice, and that's at a level 5 and also a level 6, available in Igora Real and in Vibrance. But another option for you would be a -42. So the -42 is a muted desert shade. We call it muted desert because if we think of sand, when the sun hits sand, you're seeing that beigey tone, but almost this kind of sandre undertone. But then we have a -24, which has that ash first and then beige. That's like when it's a cloudy day and the sun is no longer shining on the sand and it looks almost gray but has a hint of beige. So these two are also really great options for a really rich ash shade. If you're looking for more of that ash, the -24, which is the ash first, and then the beige after, is going to be an excellent option. If you want a little bit more of that warmth, but some of that ash undertone, the -24. So hopefully that helps you out. Those are a few ideas of colors that can be a rich ash. If you want more ideas, go to skpedu.com and book your one-on-one appointment. So next question. Hello, I want to ask if 0am doesn't have ammonia, what replaces the ammonia? Excellent question. So this is something that a lot of people wonder. Okay, if there's no ammonia, there's got to be something that's opening up that hair cuticle and allowing me to get that 100% gray coverage. So what is it, Amber? It is called monoethylenolamine. It is a mouthful. It is called monoethylenolamine, otherwise known as MEA. So what's in a permanent color is something called ammonia. Ammonia is a gas. So when you stir up the ammonia-based color, that scent that you're getting is the ammonia dissipating out of the color. That ammonia is what's opening up that hair cuticle and allowing that color to go into that hair strand. In Igora Zero, we use MEAs. MEAs is a man-made, clear, colorless liquid that can also open up that hair cuticle, but it is not a gas. So it is odorless as well. So you will not have any scent as you're stirring this up. It's going to be scentless. So it is monoethylenolamine, which is a hard word to say and probably took me years to say it, but MEA is another version for that. So hopefully that answered that question. So next question we have from Susan B. Royale, the -00, which is our natural extra. If I use -0, do I still use 30 volume for gray coverage? And also using -00, do I use 30 volume always? Thank you. So I love this question because in our -00 series, if you've been using Schwarzkopf for a while and if you've gone through any of our education, what you'll hear about -00, this has 25% more pigment weight than the regular Igora Real. What does that mean for you? Well, it means better gray coverage, but it also means that it's more deposit. So you're getting more intensity of that level 5. So there is a rule, and that's what she's referencing here, that if you put the -00 on 90 to 100% white hair, 20 volume is perfect. Because if you think about it, that hair is already just straight up white. I want the maximum deposit I can get. So 20 volume is going to be amazing. However, if I put this on hair that already has pigment, that level 5 may appear deeper than a level 5. So we recommend using 30 volume if you're using a -00 on anything under 90% white. And I'll explain why. So think of these colors. So a tube of color, think of it as a bunch of pigments. And these pigments are balloons. When balloons are flat, they're really deep and rich in color. As you start to blow them up, because they become more sheer. So think about if I blow up this balloon to 20 volume, that's a pretty dense pigment weight still. So when I put that on 90 to 100% white hair, it's perfect. Like a 5-00 is going to look like a level 5. It's exactly what I want it to be. But if I put it on something under 90% white and there's already naturally pigmented hair in there, that balloon may not be sheer enough and may appear too deep, and that level 5 will seem more dense, which may appear darker. So we recommend mixing it with 30 volume so that level 5 looks like a level 5 if you have any naturally pigmented hair. All that to say, if I mix a -00 series in with a -0, do I still need to use 30 volume? And my answer to that would be no, probably not. So our recommendation is that 2 parts of your color, if you're using a fashion shade, are your fashion shade, and only 1 part is -00. So my recommendation is if you're using half of your formula or less with -00, then you can just use 20 volume. It'll be perfect. If more than 3/4 of your formula is -00, then I would probably stick to the 30 volume. So that would be my general rule. But typically, if I'm mixing a -00 with a -0, I don't worry about adding in 30 volume. I just use 20 volume. It's just when you're using these by themselves, they can be really dense and rich. So I hope that answered that question. If not, feel free to go to our skpedu.com and book a one-on-one appointment. So next question we have here. Can you give us any info on the new acidic toners? You know what? It's funny you asked that question. I literally this morning was like, I bet somebody's going to ask me about our new, and when you hear acidic toner, let's say glow toner. So in BlondMe, we are relaunching. This is not actually launched until March. However, if there are some shades that are going out of stock, we're starting to replace them already with our new acidic glow toners from BlondMe. So absolutely, I would love to tell you a little bit more about them. So glow tone on me, we have a lot of different shades available for you. Again, this is something that's launching in March, so be on the lookout. There's going to be intro deals. There's going to be some different things that you can use for these glow toners, if I can put them in the right place. And I have a brand new book that has these glow toners here. So here are the shades that we have for the glow toners. When you're looking at this, you'll notice that we have some new shades. So a little bit, some of the different shades that we have are like a 9-21, which is going to be that ash and sandre. Another difference that you're going to see when you're looking at this swatch, I don't just have a name anymore. So it used to be just strawberry. Now there's a number to it. So it's 9.5-81. What? So we actually have a number assigned to the colors that are in the glow toners. So these glow toners are acidic. And when would I use an acidic versus an alkaline? So when we think of the pH scale, 7 is neutral. That's not going to lift the hair cuticle. It's just neutral. Water typically sits at a 7. Anything above a 7 is alkaline based. Anything below a 7 is acidic based. An alkaline base is going to open up that hair cuticle and allow that color molecule to go deeper into the hair strand, whereas an acidic base is just closing down that hair cuticle, and that color sits more on the outside of that hair strand and tends to be a little bit softer. So we create our acidic glow toners because we noticed there was a need for more of a true glaze than just a toner. And so we wanted to create something that's a little bit softer than an alkaline based Vibrance color, but it's still going to give you amazing results that last a long time. So our acidic glow toners, we have several different shades, but what I want to show you is kind of the difference. So you might say, well, some of the shades might be the same. There's a 10-1 in the BlondMe toner, and now there's a 10-1 in Vibrance. So when would I use each one? So what I want to do is show you the difference in pigment weight. So the black letter is the BlondMe, and the red letters is Vibrance. It might be hard to tell here, but essentially you're getting this softer amount of pigment weight. So this on the left is the new glow toner. It's still that -1, it's that sandre, but it's a little bit softer than the alkaline-based toner. There's still that nice sandre color. So I would say if you're looking to have something that's going to create absolutely zero option of lift on that naturally pigmented hair, you just need to gloss and glaze that hair color, then a BlondMe acidic toner is going to be amazing for that. Now, the benefit that we have is in our BlondMe range, we have a 7-volume BlondMe developer. You can use either that 7-volume cream that we have always had, the tried and true, or along with the launch of the new glow toners, we actually have a 7-volume gel option to mix with your toners to make it so you can do this beautiful bottle application. So I hope you are just as excited about this as I am. So you could see that bottle. Let me grab this here. So it's going to come just like Vibrance, where it comes in a box, and when you open it up, it's this bottle, and it's going to be liquid that can be mixed with a gel or a lotion. The difference is this, even by itself, before you add it with the developer, is truly acidic. A lot of other acidic toners out there, the color itself, before you add the toner, is not acidic. It's not until you add the developer into it that it becomes acidic. So the beauty to this is that the color on its own, even before adding your developer, which is always acidic, is already acidic. So it's going to close down that hair cuticle, give you this beautiful shine to the hair, and it's a great complement to what we already have in Vibrance, and allows you to get just that soft glaze on the top of that hair strand. So hopefully that answered that question. We will be having our pre-K classes. So next Monday, we have our free virtual classes, and on Monday, we have our next one. And in the BlondMe class, we will actually be covering the glow toners. So if you want to learn more about the glow toners, join us next Monday, February 9th, and you can join the BlondMe class, and you can sign up on that by going to our e-academy. It's skpeducation.com. You can find our BlondMe class there, and you can go ahead and register for the free virtual class where Adam Belaine is going to be talking to you about the new glow toners. So check that out, and then also you can book a one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert to even find out more. So hopefully that gave you a nice little highlight. And if you're starting to see those boxes, now you know what they are. So next question, what toners are coming out? So I showed you a little sneak peek, but let's go ahead and take a look at the different tones that we do have. Now I made it a swatch ring, and I highly recommend if you bring in the BlondMe toners, make your own swatch ring, because what you see on this swatch isn't always what happens when you paint it on hair. And what I like to do is take the toners and paint them on different levels of blonde so I can see what each toner is going to look like at each level. Then I have swatch rings to bring out and show people, not only show people, but I can take them, put them up to their hair and really see what it looks like in their hair. But let's talk about the shades that we have. So we've got 10-01. This is our Pearl Glaze. I love this one. It's a natural first and then sandre. The most natural blonde you could ever ask for. Not too cool, not too warm, that perfect natural blonde shade. Then we have 10-1. That is our ice, our sandre. I would call this one anti-yellow. If you have yellow in the hair, it's going to perfectly kick out that yellow. 10-51 might be one of my new favorite shades. How many of you already mix a gold in with a sandre, which is an ashy tone? How many of you mix cool and warm together for a toner? If you already, we made that here in this frosty gold, which is a level 10, and it's a gold first and then sandre. 9.5-41. That's that beige first and that sandre, and it's called sand. So our sand is that full combination. It hits a little on that softer, more on that kind of ashy tone, but has that little bit of beige reflect. One of my new favorite shades right here, 9.5-, and I believe this one is 7 for Apricot Blush. I love putting this on any redhead to get that additional shine and reflection on the hair. So if you have somebody that has red hair, adding that little gloss or glaze of this 9.5-74, which is Apricot Blush, is the chef's kiss. Also, sometimes adding this into a toner can somehow just give you the most immense gold color to hair. 9.5-81 is going to be your strawberry. It's a beautiful pink shade. And 9.5-91 is that lavender. So those are going to be more fashion forward. So I'll give you a quick glance here. We've got ice iris. We've got steel blue. We still have biscuit. We still have our dash. We have a new one, -54. This one's going to have that beautiful gold shade to it. We've got a -18 or 14, which is a cappuccino. It's going to be that sandre and beige. We are not bringing this one in the US. It's the -46. We may get it later, but not yet. And then 7-01. So hopefully that answers your question on what toners we have coming out. Be on the lookout. So next question, what is the function of color 10? So color 10 is 100% gray coverage in just 10 minutes. It comes in this brown box here. So this is going to give you 100% gray coverage, and it matches 100% to Igora Real shades. So these are Igora Real. So for instance, if I used 7-00 in Igora Real last time and I used 7-00 in color 10 the next time, that tone is going to look exactly the same. The difference is it's going to process in 10 to 15 minutes, whereas Igora Real takes 30 to 45 minutes. So what I love about this is there's a bunch of natural shades. There's also some beige shades, and we have a few red shades mixed in, but it's really just used with your Igora Real developers. So the rules are going to be the same. You're going to mix equal parts of developer with your color, and it's just going to sit for that 10 to 15 minutes max. And it will give you 100% gray coverage. The shades in color 10 that give you 100% gray coverage are going to be the -0 and the -1. Also, your -00 Natural Extra is also going to give you 100% gray coverage. Everything else is considered a fashion shades, and your fashion shades in color 10 give you up to 50% gray coverage. To achieve 100% gray coverage, it's always 2 parts of your fashion shade and only 1 part of a natural to give you 100% gray coverage. That is the same across the board in all of our brands. So if you haven't tried color 10 yet, give it a shot. It's really great for a really quick retouch, or if you got behind in a day and you need to catch up, you can use this. Also love using it for those little mistakes, like maybe I got a bleed line and I need to fix the bleed line. This is perfect. Processes in 10 minutes. Maybe I have a holiday, I missed a little spot, so I can use color 10 to get that right at the shampoo bowl. So if you want to learn more about color 10, join our virtual class on Monday, February 9th, as we will be covering color 10 as well. So next question, can we cover gray hair with Absolute Series with 30 volume in length? So I think I understand this question, so I'm going to answer it the way that I understand it. And if it's a different way, maybe I didn't answer it correctly, just remember you can go to skpedu.com to get another answer. So absolutes are those pre-blended fashion colors in your chocolates, your golds, your coppers, your reds, pre-blended for 100% gray coverage for you. Now the question is, can I get gray coverage with this series with 30 volume? Now I mentioned there's extra pigment weight in these shades. With that being said, 30% more pigment weight than the regular Igora Real. Remember I mentioned in the -00 series, because of that extra pigment weight, we recommend 20 volume for 90 to 100% gray. And if you're under 90% gray, we recommend 30 volume. So the answer to that question is that yes, you will get 100% gray coverage utilizing 30 volume. And if you're under 90% white, that's actually what we recommend with these shades so that you get the true end result. So love that question. Now, when you say in length, if I'm thinking about that, if I did say 20 volume on the new growth and I'm trying to also color the ends that have gray hair, will the Absolutes give 100% gray coverage on those ends as well? And the answer to that is yes, even with the 30 volume. So again, if I did not answer that, go to skpedu.com, book your one-on-one appointment. So next question, are you able to mix the Royal Additives -0 or 0-11, which is sandre? I'm not going to name them all, but it's our additives such as like our boosters and neutralizers. Can you mix them with color 10? So let me show you the boosters and neutralizers first so you understand what those are and I can explain what they do. So boosters are just that. They're meant to boost your color. So 0-77, for instance, is that orange. 0-55 is gold. These can be added to your color formula to boost your color. So the question is, can I mix these boosters with Igora Color 10? And the answer to that is it's not manufacturer recommended. The reason for that is the technology in here is an amino acid carrier system. That amino acid carrier system is what allows you to get 100% gray coverage in just 10 to 15 minutes, whereas Igora Real has a processing time of 30 to 45 minutes. So that being said, we don't recommend mixing the boosters in with color 10 because your processing time is going to be different and the technology is different in both colors. Now, if you decide to try it, just know that that's a creative way to use it. It doesn't mean it's not going to work. It just means that we can't guarantee that the results are going to be what you're looking for. So feel free to try it if you want. It's a creative way to use it, but it is also not manufactured recommend. So next question, absolutes mixed with Igora Real developer. So absolutes, we've talked a lot about these today. Those are those pre-blended fashion shades in your coppers, your golds, your chocolates, your reds, and they come in this taupe colored box. Absolutely, the absolutes are mixed with Igora Real developers. So love that question. Sorry I didn't answer it already. It is a 1-to-1 ratio, so 1 part color, 1 part developer. It's just utilizing that 20 or 30 volume Igora Real developer. So next question here. Is it okay to mix the Igora Real with toner? So I'm a little bit, okay, so yes, actually, I think I know what you're talking about. So again, if I'm wrong, you can always book your one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert at skpedu.com. So I think what I'm hearing is, can I mix a toner in Igora Real, like a 9.5 series, in with a regular shade? So like maybe I want to mix it with like, I don't know, a -4 series. Can I mix these two together? And the answer to that is yes, technically you can. They both come in red boxes. What I will tell you is that if you're trying to get 100% gray coverage, I would not mix a toner into any formula if you're looking for 100% gray coverage. When you look at the bottom of these swatches, it tells you like 100% or it might say 70. That's your amount of gray coverage. Notice these toners, they don't say anything at the bottom. That's because there is no gray coverage in these toners. So if you're looking for gray coverage, I wouldn't recommend mixing a 9.5 series pastel toner in with a regular shade. However, if you're just looking to soften a shade and you want to dilute it out but keep some tone, you could absolutely mix in with your toners with a color. So I hope that answered the question. If not, go to skpedu.com, book your one-on-one appointment. Next question, which BlondMe toner direction is most requested in the US right now? Creamy neutrals, soft golds, or clean beige? And what I would say to that is all of the above. In the US, anything goes. So it used to be in the US, everything was cool, cool, cool. We just want ash. We don't want to see any warmth. Everything needs to be cool. But there's been a shift. And I would say this shift includes, I don't want my hair warm, but I don't want it to be cool. Some people call like butter blonde, for instance, is a color that we were seeing quite a bit for a while. And people are wanting that more natural tone. So maybe something that's not too warm, not too cool, but then also soft golds. Gold is coming back. Gold is becoming a lot bigger. And Tracy Cunningham is huge on creating a gold glaze or a gold gloss over anyone's hair. So if you follow her at all, she likes to mix a gold with a gold copper even, and put that on all over for even just 5 minutes, just to give this like little punch of gold at the very end. So I would 100% say that golds are in. And also, if you want to go to our switch page, switchwithskp.com, you can go to that page and you can find all kinds of information on what the switch journey looked like, along with the download center to download any of our like color graphs, any of our swatch charts, anything like that. So if you don't have any swatch charts or anything, go to SKP or switchwithskp.com and you can check out Tracy's switch journey. But yes, golds are definitely in, and clean beiges, that's always in. That's always trending here in the US. I would say we've kind of steered away from all ash everything in the US. We're starting to see a little bit of everything, and we're starting to see a lot more golds, a lot more beiges, and a lot more neutrals. Love that question. Thank you, Isabel. So next question, I love this one actually. What base level would you use a 9.5 on? So 9.5, let's talk about that for a second. You've heard me say it before. 9.5 in our brand doesn't necessarily mean a level 9.5. It just means it's translucent pigment weight going to help to tone out your blondes. So 9.5 series is these right here. With the 9.5 series, we recommend that hair needs to be at a level 9 or above. So if you're at a low level 9 or to a 9.5, like somewhere between 9 and 10, these are perfect. It is the ideal toner to put on that. If you're on that pale yellow, like inside of a banana peel yellow, the 9.5 series might be more intense than you need. That's when you might switch and go to a level 10. So pale yellow, level 10. Level 9 and above, so about level 9 to level 9.5, if you've lifted to that yellow, that pale, and you maybe started to scratch the surface of pale yellow, 9.5 series is phenomenal. So we want it to be a level 9 or above in order for the pigment weight to show up. So love that question. Thank you, Phyllis, for that. And let's move on to our next question. Ooh, I like this one. Please explain silver whites. What do the swatches mean for each color? So if you're not familiar, Igora Zero has a separate sub-segment called silver whites. And these silver whites, a lot of people don't understand what they are. They think that they're just silver toners for the hair. And I guess you're kind of right, but silver whites were actually part of the absolutes category. If you remember, the absolutes have that pro-age complex that has ciliamines that are going to smooth that hair cuticle and collagen to fill in the brittle sites. Well, guess what? Silver whites also have that collagen and ciliamines. These are meant to be true tonal refiners for natural silver white hair. So what that means is if somebody came to me, maybe she's grown out her hair and it's all silver now, and all she wants to do is get a haircut, but she's saying her hair is no longer shiny, her hair is very dull, the ends are brittle and yellow to her hair. These are meant to help refine that silver hair to make it look even better. So let's talk about the shades. Silver. We want the hair to be 60% or more white in order to see the silver. You'll notice there's two tones on this swatch. One of them is the silver in its pure tone with 10 volume Igora Zero developer. The other is diluted with a conditioner, 10 volume developer, and also your silver. So when you see the two tones, one is the full intensity of the tone and the other is diluted. So that silver gives you just that little hint of that silver tone, and it needs to be a 60% or more white in order to truly see it. Your dove gray and your gray lilac sit at a medium gray. It's just that your gray lilac has that blue violet hint to it. So if you had a lot of yellow, that blue violet would kick that out. But it also can give you that just that little bit of a hint of a fashion tone. Whereas if you just want a medium gray, that dove gray is perfect for it. Now, slate gray is the deepest of the tones. I love using slate gray when somebody has level 5 and darker hair, but stark white pieces. This slate gray is going to tone those stark white pieces and leave the rest of the hair alone, giving you a little bit of a gray blending situation. The beauty is any of these shades can be mixed with silver to dilute them, and any of the shades can be mixed in a 1:1:1 ratio. So for instance, silver can be 1 part silver, 1 part of a Fiber Clinics conditioner, and 1 part of a 10 volume Igora Zero developer. So these are meant to be mixed with Igora Zero. The other difference is that these are going to be a 20-minute processing time. So you only need 20 minutes as they're meant to act like a toner. So when you're using these, if you're trying to transition somebody from previously, or like maybe they previously colored their hair, their mids to ends are still brown, but then they're all white here, you can actually use these to help refine that. So you can lift the mids and ends to that pale yellow, like inside of a banana peel yellow. And I always recommend pre-toning with 9.5-1, for instance, or 10-1 to create a white wall. So I always say it's like priming the hair. And then you use these as your final tone all over everything to help give that true silver look. So I hope that answered that question and you understand them more. If you need more answers, again, skpedu.com, book your one-on-one appointment. Also, don't forget to check out our e-academy, skpeducation.com, where you can also find little tidbits of information on those. Next question, are you seeing more demand for soft amber tones on fine hair? And do you prefer keeping them sheer or more saturated? I love this question because fine hair can be tricky. Fine hair has a tendency to sometimes when you put color on, appear darker than what that color actually is. And also fine hair tends to be more fragile. So amber tones are on fire right now. In the United States, different shades of red and copper are very popular. And then even some of that strawberry, like it's gold, but it almost has that hint of a copper, like that strawberry tone, is super popular right now. My hair is actually a pretty fine hair texture. And I would say I definitely love doing the amber tones. For me, I go back and forth between saturated and unsaturated. I actually think for a fine hair texture, being more saturated on the new growth area and being a little bit more sheer on those mids and ends is the perfect way to go, because that more density at the root area can sometimes make that fine hair appear more dense. But then if you have too much density in the mids and ends, you lose that like multi-dimension. So I love to do more density, or maybe an Igora Zero on the new growth. A bit more sheer. If you have a specific question on that one, feel free to go to skpedu.com, but I hope that answered that question. So next question. Like this question, and the answer to this question is going to be no. So this question is the L series, which is our fashion lights, being discontinued? Is absolutely not. Our L series, our fashion lights, are one of my favorite series. They give you up to 5 levels of lift and tone in one step, even on previously colored hair. So these can be like highlights for somebody that doesn't want to use bleach. They want something that maybe is a little bit softer, but also something that they can lift up to 5 levels. So these are meant to be used with your 40 volume Igora Zero developer in a 1-to-1 ratio. These are off scalp only. They're meant to be highlighted in or balayaged through the hair, and they are absolutely not being discontinued. We're going to keep having them. As a matter of fact, there's a new shade in the global market that has launched that hopefully will come to the US eventually. So keep your eyes open. We are not getting rid of the fashion lights. We are keeping those. They are too amazing not to. Next question, Phyllis. What color can I create since TBH is discontinued? The formula was 8-04 and 8-84, and it was 2 parts of the 04 and 1 part of the 8-84. So this is an excellent question, because when we think about TBH, we know that the -84 was almost this rose gold. It had that red first and a little bit of a beige at a level 8. So how can you create that when you're using Igora Zero? So I'm noticing that you had more of the -04, which is that natural beige, than you did the -84. So you almost had just this little hint of the red into it. So my recommendation for you, and I know it's going to be a few different things mixed together, but I would say using mainly 8-0, mixing in a little bit of, and I know this is going to be different than what you used before, but 8-46. I know 04 is a natural beige. This 46 is a beige chocolate, and it's going to have some richness to it. So I'd mix the 8-0 with 8-46, maybe equal parts. And then I would add just a tiny bit, maybe just a couple of grams of the 6-88. I know it's a level 6, but it is just going to add that little bit of pinkiness. And that's what that 8-84 did, is added this tiny bit of pinkiness. So I would make most of your formula 8-0 natural with 8-46, which is that beige chocolate. And I would add just maybe even just 5 grams of 6-88 to add that little bit of pinkiness into your formula. Try that, see if it works. You might go ahead and buy some swatches, try some different formulas that you feel like are going to work, and just see what works best. Again, if you want to book a one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert, you can always do that as well by going to skpedu.com. Oh, love this one. Formula dot for my hair color. So I've been playing around with my color, and so I've been changing it around a little bit. Now, I am that girl who likes permanent color on her hair. So you'll notice that most of my formula is permanent, but I do use a little bit of Demi permanent for the mids and the ends. But I've been playing around a little bit with adding some things in. I've talked about it on here a little bit, but I like the -46 because that chocolate gives a little bit of richness to color. So this last time that I colored my hair, I did, let's see, what was it? 20 grams of 7-77. And then I did 10 grams of 8-46. So that's a level 8, and that's that beige chocolate. Then I added in 10 grams of 9-7. So half of my formula was 7-77, level 7 copper extra. And then 10 grams was 8-46, which is that beige chocolate, and then 10 grams of 9-7. So that 9-7 is a softer red. So that's what I did on the new growth. And then, because I don't like to waste color, so I'll be honest, I go against manufacturer recommendations sometimes, so I'm not recommending you do this at home. This is just what I did. So I went through then and I foiled out pieces and used only conditioner on those pieces to get them out of the way because I wanted to have some multi-dimension. So that was just to keep them a little bit lighter. Then I took the color I had left in my bowl and I added conditioner to it and I stirred that up. You might be like, why did you do that, Amber? That's not manufacturer recommended. Well, here's why I did it. I just wanted to sheer out the color a little bit, and I didn't want to waste the color that I had. I could have just made a formula in Vibrance just like this because 8-46 is available, and so is 9-7. I could have made it in a Demi permanent. I just got lazy. So I used conditioner and pulled it through the rest of the hair. There were just highlights of pieces that were not done. Now for my new growth on my money piece. I actually like to use our high lift series. So in the high lift, I use 10-14 for my new growth. Actually, I've been doing 10-4. I lied. 10-4. 10-4 is my beige. But I've been doing 7 grams of that. And interestingly enough, you may not know by looking, but I actually like to take my 9-7, which I don't know where my coppers went, but my 9-7, I like to mix my 9-7 into my color. So a 9-7 is a level 9 copper. So I do 7 grams of 10-4, and then I do 3 grams of 9-7, and I use that for my money piece. And I only do that with 30 volume. My hair is a level 7 naturally, so it lifts very quickly. And that little bit of copper in there just gives you that little extra warmth. So hopefully you enjoyed that. You can always message me if you want that in writing or just watch this again. So hopefully you appreciated that. Again, I could have mixed my mids and ends with Vibrance. I just added the conditioner because I didn't feel like it. I was lazy. So next question, which high lift color would you recommend on a level 2 who wants neutral highlights? So high lift and level 2, the two don't combine. High lifts are meant to be typically on a level 6 or above. So technically there's not a high lift that can be used on a level 2. However, you're talking about highlights. So we just talked about fashion lights. Fashion lights are those shades that give you up to 5 levels of lift and tone in one step, even on naturally pigmented hair. So this would be my recommendation. We've got L-00, which is natural extra, and then L-44, which is beige extra. Beige is going to have a slight beigey tint to it to help tone out any additional warmth. L-00 is straight up lift. So these can be used with your 40 volume in a 1-to-1 ratio in foils. But just remember, it gets you up to 5 levels of lift. So what you're seeing on this swatch, a level 2 is not going to look this light. These are put on a level 5 swatch. So if you think that you're at a level 2, the most lift you're going to get is up to 5 levels. So you might get to a level 7. So just remember, you're going to be more of that level 7 and you're probably going to have a lot of that orangey undertone. So this is the only high lift on a level 2 that you can actually use. And I would use it with 40 volume in foils to get the maximum amount of lift. If you need more than that, you need to get her lighter than a level 7. I hate to say it, but you have to go to a lightener. It's the only way to do it. So if you have a more specific question on that particular client, go to SPE.com and book your one-on-one appointment. So next question we have here has to do with neutralizers and boosters. So using a -00 and a -11, okay, so actually no, this is regular brand. So I was looking at that as boosters. So is using a -00, which is a natural extra, and a -11 sandre extra valid to add some ash? So those are two different things that you're talking about. -00 is natural extra. That's going to give you that extra amount of pigment weight. So that's actually meant to be, and unfortunately I don't have the -00 swatch in this book. It might have moved. So we're going to grab it from here. So here's your -00 here. -00 is natural extra. It's got 25% more pigment weight than the regular Igora Real. This is not going to ash out your color. This is actually just going to give you more of that natural pigment weight. So this one will not ash out your color. However, a -11 will ash out your color. This is a sandre extra, the -11. So if you're in a level in the -11, that will ash it out. Now, because you didn't put a level in front of there, I want to talk about neutralizers, but also our clear. So somewhere I dropped that little swatch that I just had. Let's see if we can find it. All right, so it fell. But anyways, there we go. I knew I'd find it. Okay, so let's talk about clear. 0-00 is clear. If you're talking about -00, this is not adding any pigment weight at all to a color. So it is not going to ash anything out. It's simply going to dilute it. 0-11, however, has that sandre or that blue violet. So if you add this to any of your formulas, this will ash it out. So if you're talking about boosters by themselves, 0-11 will ash things out. If you're talking about base colors, a -11 in the base color will ash it out as well. Again, you can always book your one-on-one at skpedu.com if you want more information on that. So next question, can zero ammonia color do everything that Igora Real can do? And the answer to that is, yeah, pretty much. If you're looking to get 100% gray coverage, you can get that with Igora Zero. Just a reminder, Igora Zero is our ammonia-free permanent hair color line. So if we think about the things that you can do with Igora Real, I can get 100% gray coverage with Igora Real. I can also get 100% gray coverage with Igora Zero. I can get up to 4 levels of lift in a high lift series in Igora Real. We have high lifts over in Igora Zero as well, the 10 series that can give you up to 4 levels of lift. Now, one thing that Igora Real can do that Igora Zero cannot is we have the fashion lights that get you up to 5 levels of lift and tone in one step. Igora Zero, your maximum lift is going to be 4 levels of lift. So that is the max that you're going to get with Igora Zero. As far as fashion colors go, we do have quite a few fashion colors. However, we don't have as many as what we have in Igora Real. So your biggest difference is you've got a larger selection of color for Igora Real. However, if you are a salon and you're like, I want to use an ammonia-free option and I want to have permanent gray coverage, I want my reds, I want my chocolates, I want my golds, I want my cool shades, you absolutely could use Igora Zero as your permanent hair color and not have to use Igora Real. The only things you'd probably go to Igora Real for are if you needed the boosters or neutralizers, or if you needed the fashion lights, then you might need to use this. So if you're looking to switch your salon to an ammonia-free salon, you absolutely could do so with Igora Zero. So I hope that answered that question. So next question, what do you suggest or when would you use BlondMe toners or Vibrance? So I love this question because we are about to relaunch our Vibrance toners, which I told you about before, not our Vibrance. You know, it's a Thursday. Sometimes words get jumbled. So our BlondMe toner is the new one. This is our acidic-based toner, and Vibrance is our pretty pink bottle. So if you're not using either one, this is these two. The difference between these toners is Vibrance is an alkaline-based toner, and BlondMe is an acidic-based toner. Other than that, they're both a liquid, and they both can be mixed with a gel or a lotion. The gel allows you to do bottle application, and the lotion allows you to be more precise. The biggest difference as to when I would use each one, I'm going to use Vibrance when I'm looking for, maybe I have a lot of orange undertone and I need a little bit more deposit on the pigment weight. Because I've got the alkaline base, it's going to open up that hair strand and allow some of those pigment weights to go into that hair strand to give a little bit more intensity to the tone, which is going to help to neutralize out more. If I'm looking to just softly glaze that hair, I just need that soft toner. I just need that little, I call it the final coat on your nail polish. When you get that clear coat on your nail polish that gives you that nice shine, but it's not taking away from the color, that's my BlondMe. It's going to give me that color, but it's going to be a softer tone. So I would say in Vibrance, if I'm looking for gray blending, definitely Vibrance. If I'm looking for just straight up toning, I don't need anything else, I just need a toner and refine my blonde, that's BlondMe. If I am hoping to maybe get a little ship base, I have the option of Vibrance as my. If I'm looking to simply just deposit, I can use either of them. So it really just depends on what your end goal is. I would say for that final glaze, BlondMe toners are amazing. If I need a little bit more punch of the pigment weight, that's when I might use Vibrance. So I hope that helps. I know it can be a little bit confusing, but they're both amazing. You're not going to go wrong. no matter which one you use. And again, join us on Monday. We have our virtual classes. Just go to skpeducation.com and you can sign up for these classes for free. That is our e-academy. You can find all education that we have there on the e-academy, and you can find the BlondMe, Igora Real, and Igora Vibrance. There's 3 separate classes. The first one's at 9 a.m. on Monday Pacific time, and it's Igora Foundations, going over all of Igora. Then at 9 or 10:45 Pacific time is Vibrance, and then 45 Pacific time me. So sign up for those. Next question. How can I keep the sandre from depositing too much? So Hair by Christina, the sandre is going to be that blue violet, and blue violet on a blonde can sometimes grab. And if we think about it, what happens when you lift hair is that you're removing pigment from the hair. That hair becomes more porous. So an option to keep that sandre from depositing, because what happens when hair is porous is it just like grabs the hair color, and the deepest and easiest one to grab is blue. So it likes to grab that first, and it might become too much. So first thing I would do is hair primer. Hair primer is a tool that we have. It comes in a black and white bottle, and you spray that in the hair before you apply your color on. That's going to even out the porosity of that hair and allow you to get a more even tone. So start by adding in that hair primer before you even apply it. The other option, adding in a gold. And I know you don't want to hear, I don't want to add gold. The hair's already gold. I'm trying to get rid of gold. However, hair needs to have, you need to have all 3 color molecules, red, yellow, and blue, to create neutral. And so what happens a lot of times is you've got nothing in the hair. So then you've got yellow and you've got a blue and a blue violet. That violet has maybe a little bit of red, but not enough. So you need a little bit more gold to really hold on to it. So adding a -5, which is a gold, or a -4, which is a beige, into that sandre formula can help act like a filler for the hair and keep the hair from grabbing too much sandre. So first start by using that hair primer to even out the porosity, and then try adding a gold or a beige into your formula to help to act as a filler for that hair. So love that question. Thank you for the question, Christina. So next question that we have here. So is the 13 volume considered alkaline and the 6 volume considered acidic? I love this question. So what I want to make clear is that every developer that we have in our brand is acidic. So any brand that we have, whether it's an activator in Vibrance, whether it's a developer in BlondMe, whether it's an Igora Real developer, they're all acidic. What happens is the tube of color is actually alkaline. So what's happening is when you're mixing it with the developer, you're bringing down that acidity by adding in your developer. So like my alkaline base is brought down in its alkalinity by adding in a developer. But the stronger 13 volume is going to allow me to get that little bit of extra shift, that little bit of extra deposit. So it's not that it's an alkaline base, it's just a higher volume activator. Therefore, it's allowing you to deposit that color even better than what it was before. So it is acidic based. It's going to give you more of that pure deposit. So I hope that answered that question. If you want more detail or want to talk about it more, book your one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert at skpedu.com. And don't forget to check out our switch page, switchwithskp.com. We've got 1 minute left. I'll try for one more question in hope that it's not too much extra information, and then we'll call it a day. And just remember that we do the Ask Me Anything every 3 weeks. So we've got it this week, so it'll be at the end of February. So then I believe it's February 26th or 27th, whatever that Thursday is. All of our Ask Me Anythings are Thursdays at 9 a.m. So you can catch me again then and re-ask your question or book your one-on-one appointment. So this question, does Igora Real have background tone similar to Redken Shades EQ, like black to gray, brown to tan, no background? So the answer to that, the easiest answer is no, we do not have a background color per se. We have what I like to think of as pre-blended tones. And that means that like a natural is going to look beautiful no matter what. It's not a black to brown tone. It's not a gold tone. It's truly going to have that natural color underneath of it. The only colors that I would say we have that don't necessarily have and I'm not calling it a background color because it's not really, but our toners are going to be truly the tone that they are. You can see what that tone is because it's put straight on a white swatch. So you're seeing exactly what's in that tone because it's put on a white swatch. So I know that might be a little bit confusing, but it's different than other lines and that we don't have that true background color. We just try to pre-blend our colors so that they perfectly color the hair the way it needs to be and doesn't end up with gray hair or too gold or things like that. So hopefully that answered. If not, don't forget, switch with skp.com to check out some information there. Book your one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert at skpedu.com. And don't forget to check out our online platform, eAcademy, which is SKP Education. Find all things education there. But that is all for today, folks. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate all of the questions. If I didn't get to you, don't forget, book a one-on-one and join me in 3 weeks at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time right here. And we'll see you next time.
Mm-hmm.